Welcome into another episode of the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast here on the Fans First Sports Network from Sports Illustrated. I'm Tom Cavanaugh. You can follow myself at TCAV30 on Twitter/X and follow our insider pages at Rams Insider on SI or type in Rams Sports Illustrated into your search bar to find all of our daily content. What a win, folks. Oh my goodness. I mean, a 44-42 win for the Los Angeles Rams, upsetting the Buffalo Bills, snapping their 7-game win streak. The Rams winning their last two, and they're right back in the mix in the NFC West. We got to break it all down. From both sides, you saw season highs from quarterback Josh Allen of the Bills, Matthew Stafford. Puka Nacua continues to be one of the best, very best receivers in all of the NFL currently. You can put him up there with names like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, the likes. I mean, he is something special, and the Rams are very, very lucky to have him on their team. But just kind of backtracking from quarter one to quarter four. First, 86 combined points in this game, the highest scoring NFL ball game of this season. And this really kind of seemed like for you Rams fans that have been around for a little while, well, not too long, obviously. The Mahomes Chiefs Rams game in the 50s a couple of years ago. I think no, it was good amount of time ago, but still very, very similar to that. I mean, this was just Rocky and Apollo back and forth, touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, both teams not giving an inch. The Rams were able to separate themselves in the second quarter. They took a 17-point lead midway through the third. Bills clawed back. They cut it to 3, and the Rams with a dagger shot late, putting themselves up again by 2 scores. And then again, the Bills came in and scored to cut it to a 2-point game. The onside kick for Buffalo did not go. And the Rams pick up a win. They get to 7-6. This is a huge relief of a victory for them because if they lose this game, it's just the same thing over and over where they're getting back to 500, then losing their next game and being under 500. And they finally pick up a big win at home. They had lost their 2 prior to the Dolphins and the Eagles, and they come through in the biggest of ways. I said it the other day, key stats for the game. Got to keep pace offensively, score 20 or more points. They did that. I mean, when you look at Buffalo this year, they'd given up 30 points one time. 30 points was the most that they gave up. Actually, I think they gave up 35 to Baltimore, but still 44 the most they'd given up all season long. The Rams, highest number of points they've scored all year. They could not have been better offensively. We talked about their red zone efficiency. They were 5 of 6 in the red zone today. That is unbelievable. I mean, this team was doing everything. They rushed the ball decent, a $137 on the ground. 87 of those yards came from Kyren Williams. Blake Corum, he gave them 34. And how about Puka Nacua? We're going to talk about his receiving stats, but he grabbed his very first rushing touchdown of the year. He had 5 carries for 16 yards. They started to really incorporate him into the rush game a lot more, and he found a little opening and got in. I mean, there's too many touchdowns to count in this game. When we trail back all the way to the first, the Rams went right down the field on the opening possession, took a 7-0 lead, and they did not lose the lead from there. From 7-0, it would turn to 7-7. The Bills would climb right back. And then the Rams with a field goal went up 10-7. And this was a huge play that actually probably won the Rams the ball game. 17-7, the score comes out after Hunter Long scooped and scored. He's a backup tight end playing on the special teams unit. Sam Martin, the punter for the Bills, comes on. He has a punt blocked. Long scoops and scores. The Rams go up 17-14. The Bills respond with a touchdown to bring it within 3 points again, 17-14. And what do you know? The Rams right back a touchdown to go up by 10. A punt and a failed drive at the end of just 4 plays. That would end the first half at 24-14. And then in the second half, three and out from the Bills gave the Rams the ball right back. They went on a 11-play, 5.5-minute drive to make it 31-14. Bills responded with a touchdown to cut it back to 10. The Rams got another touchdown to make it back to 17 midway through that third quarter. Touchdown Bills makes it a 10-point game, 38-28. A punt from the Rams would then give the Bills the ball back, and they were able to score, cutting the lead to 3, 38-35. What do you know? When the Rams needed it most in a one-possession game, they had a chance to maybe kick a field goal. They went for it, got the first down. They went 11 plays, 7 minutes, went back up 44-35. There was a key defensive pass interference call on Puka Nacua that extended that drive. Bills went down, scored a touchdown in under a minute, but there was only about a minute or so remaining in the game. And Rams would finish it out with a punt, actually. So with a minute to go, Bill still had a couple of timeouts left. And instead of, being able to knee it out, the Rams had to go 3-and-out. And then that was actually a great punt. They put it super high in the air so that with 7 seconds remaining when they snapped the ball, by the time the ball hit the turf, the clock was already expired. So we give a lot of credit to the special teams unit today for that scoop and score on the blocked punt, and then also the punt at the end of the game that lingered high enough in the air to end the ball game. Just an incredible game all around. We'll break into some of these individual stats, starting with quarterback Matthew Stafford. This guy's been unreal over his last couple of games, and we can look at it at a larger scale, but just over his last 4 games, he's got 10 touchdown passes without an interception, playing some of the best football in the league. 23 of 30, threw for 320 yards and a pair of touchdowns. One was to Nacua, one was to Kupp. Cooper Kupp finished the game doing what he does, 5 catches, 92 yards, and a score. Puka Nacua, his 4th game of the season with over 100 receiving yards, 12 catches, 162 yards, a receiving touchdown, and we mentioned the rushing touchdown. I'm very certain that Puka Nacua should be in the conversation with a lot of the top receivers, the Amon-Ra St. Browns, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, all those guys. Puka's in there with them because he continues to grab numbers like this. And he was making insane catches. He looked like Michael Jackson doing the lean over out on the sideline, making an incredible catch in the second quarter. And he was doing it all day. Back shoulder fades, jumping up, high pointing the football. I mean, the guy's got so much talent. And he's a big reason why this team was able to come out with a win and score 44 points. On the other side, Josh Allen could not miss today. And if the Rams don't come up with their best offensive performance of the year, they lose this game because Josh went for 342 passing yards, which is a season high, 3 touchdown passes, 3 rushing touchdowns on 82 yards. The guy combined for 6 touchdowns himself. Threw one to Khalil Shakir, one to Ty Johnson, one to Mac Hollins. And every time you felt like the Rams were going to separate themselves and go up by multiple scores and keep it that way, the Bills went right down the field and scored. Now, you can kind of look at it and reflect and be like, hey, this Rams defense, they struggled. They had a tough time, but it's the Bills. They're the number 2 scoring team in the entire NFL at 29.6 points per game. That number is going to continue to go up after scoring 42, but losing, snapping their 7-game win streak. They're now 10-3. You can't say enough about what the Rams were able to do. Defensively, obviously, there were some holes. Allen could pretty much do whatever he wanted in the second half. First half from the Rams was great. I mean, I know they allowed a couple of touchdowns, but they held the Bills to just 15 rushing yards. James Cook was non-existent over the entire game, had 6 rushes for 20 yards. Allen was really the issue on the ground. Every time he would scramble out, he'd run for a good 10 or 15. He finished with 82 yards on the ground with 10 carries, had a long of 30, and we mentioned the 3 touchdowns every time they get down to the 1 or 2 yard line. Josh Allen should just raise his hand and say, yeah, I'm scoring. It's tough to stop him. Khalil Shakir, the number 1 receiver for the Bills, finished with 5 catches for 106 yards and that score we talked about. And Amari Cooper, a guy that hasn't really posted a lot of numbers this season because he came onto the team late. He was traded for, actually. He had 95 yards and 6 catches. So, I mean, there were a lot of guys. Ty Johnson had 55 yards, Mac Hollins 57. A lot of different players being incorporated in that pass game, and the Rams had a tough time keeping any of them really silent. But the offense did just enough. We talked about Nacua, Kupp, Tutu Atwell had 3 big catches for 45 yards. Kyren Williams, Colby Parkinson got in on the action a little bit. Demarcus Robinson, 0 catches for 0 yards today. He did have a deep bomb that he caught, but it was brought back due to pass interference on both sides. It was a very weird play. I thought the refs did not execute that play the right way. Robinson stuck his arm out, extended it to create some separation on the DB, and he was being held as well, so that's where the offsetting happened. And then it was funny, 2 plays later, Cooper Kupp caught a seam route right down the middle and actually extended his arm too, and they didn't call that one. So little inconsistencies there from the officials. Obviously, it's tough to call those, especially when there's hand fighting and a lot of physicality between a receiver and a defensive back, but I digress. Rams are in a perfect spot now. When you look at the NFC West, this is a game they needed to win because Seattle handled business today. I thought the Cardinals were going to come out and play well. They got out to a 7-point lead on Seattle today, and they crumbled. They lost 30-18, another game where they were just giving up points like crazy. So the Seahawks are 8-5. Now the Cardinals are 6-7. They've lost several in a row. They've lost 3 in a row, actually. That puts the Rams in second place at 7-6. The Niners took care of business and won. They're 6-7 as well. So at the bottom, I mean, this is just how this entire division can change in the blink of 1 week. It was the Rams and the Niners at the bottom, with the Cardinals really contending with Seattle. And after one divisional loss from Arizona, Seattle takes a commanding lead, 8-5, and the Rams they're quickly approaching their toes at 7-6. Another win next week over the Niners puts the Rams at 8-6. And anything can happen at this point. I love the Rams to put together a streak down the stretch. They got the Niners, they got the Jets, and then they got the last 2 games facing both bird teams, the Cardinals and the Seahawks, to wrap it up. So when you look at these next 4 games, they're all very winnable for Los Angeles. And if they do it, you could see them finishing 11-6, maybe 10-7 if they do drop a game here or there. But they have the tiebreaker over Seattle at the moment, and they also have it over the Niners. The Cardinals, though, they're continuing to kind of wash away their divisional hopes. So a good spot for the Rams. Can't say anything more about how this team performed today, specifically on the offensive side. I mean, they put up 17 in the second quarter. They put up 14 in the third, and just enough with a touchdown in the fourth. If the Bills get that ball back on the onside kick in the final minute or so, they might have had a chance to win. Rookie kicker Josh Carty missed another extra point. Now, he did have a clutch field goal earlier in the game, but, I mean, we got to hit those in a late situation because you got to make it a 3-point game. It's a 2-point game, and let's say there's a little more time on the clock. Let's say there's a $1:45 left, and you can't punt that ball out with 7 seconds to go and expire the clock. Bills are getting the ball back right there. So, I mean, obviously Rams might have been more aggressive to get the first down, but Bills, they're going to kind of regroup here. They got the Detroit Lions next week. They're going to bounce back in a big way, obviously in the AFC, so not anything the Rams would have to worry about unless both teams met in the Super Bowl. But Los Angeles really showing their ability to step up in a big moment. And this changes the outlook of this team, because you had this roller coaster feeling of every other week they were going to play good and bad, good and bad. And I mean, one other thing I want to talk about that I just took a look at here on the stat sheet is 0 sacks for Matthew Stafford. Give some credit, man. Alaric Jackson was questionable coming into the week. He played the entire game. Steve Avila, Bo Limmer, the starting rookie center, Steve Avila, Rob Havenstein as well. All these guys chipped in and played really, really good football up front, making the Bills' pass rush non-existent, a team that was very solid. And also, the Bills were the best team in the NFL with 17 turnovers forced this year. Rams didn't turn it over one time, and that's a big reason why they won. Every team needed as many possessions as they got. Rams scored on 6 of their 9 total possessions to come out with a 44-42 win on Sunday afternoon at SoFi Stadium, breaking that home curse after their last 2 losses. Boy, that feels good if you're a Rams fan. 44 points, the most they've scored all year long, and one of the most thrilling ball games of the season. They get it done, improve to 7-6, and boost up to second in the NFC West. This has been the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. From the Fans First Sports Network, I'm Tom Cavanaugh. We will see you later, everybody.